Elevated Grapes Podcast.
Elevated Grapes Podcast.
With your host, Sethi.
Your host, Sethi.
And Stylist Rashi Bindra.
It's time to get started.
Let's talk fashion, shall we? Welcome everyone, I am your host, Sethi.
And I'm your co-host, stylist, fashion consultant, I guess, Rashi Bindra.
And so we're here today because it's sort of a mini podcast or a mini show because it's our 1-year show anniversary, and we've literally been doing this now for a year, 41 or 42 episodes in. And the reason it doesn't add up is because when we first started, it was a monthly series, and then we changed it to weekly in between. But a year in and 42 episodes, and we just wanted to take a moment to reflect, show appreciation, show thanks, and also celebrate a little bit.
Yeah. It actually hit me now that it's been like a year. Dude, we've been working with each other for slightly over a year, and we've not killed each other.
Well, I mean, there's been times where we pretty much have killed each other, and it was just, right at the brink of murder. And then, I think the thought was, okay, well, I don't want to go to jail forever, so whatever, I'll tolerate.
That's also very true.
Yeah.
It really hit me, I think more so is how much we've grown since we first met, came about the idea, actually launched it. And I think what's really wonderful, and it is something that we should honor and celebrate, is our lives in the last year were so hectic. First of all, we live at the opposite ends of the world. So those who don't know that, we actually do not live close to each other. We live very far. And, we also have a lot of personal life stuff that happens.
Of course.
And somehow we've managed, whether you were traveling, whether I had 10 things happening at the same time, to consistently put out content and our thoughts, and even have amazing guests who supported us in this journey. And we were like putting that out there. And, from podcasts to covering events, I think we've just evolved so much. And I think that's shown in our journey. So for our listeners, we also cover a lot of events in the fashion world, and we have all those event coverage on our YouTube channel. And I was actually looking back at some of them, and I rarely look back at our podcast or our events. And I went through our first event and our first mini photo shoot and the making of, and then how we came up with this idea. And then I was just seeing how everything changed. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it sometimes feels like a huge lifetime away. And then now you're like, oh no, it's only just like a year ago. Holy shit.
Well, I think a lot goes to, a lot of the key, sort of business traits that we're implementing without even talking about them or without even acknowledging them. Like, we have a really, really great team. So,
Tree?
Yeah, team. And because I was going to go into the tree story in a second, but
Oh God.
So, like yourself, myself, Nav, Pat obviously at the onset, and in between from a consulting basis, like Nav is so good and easy to work with, and he's so accommodating to what we're looking for, and just easy to give him an idea, and he's like, okay, let me work with it, and I'll figure out a way to make your vision come to life.
Yeah.
And then that's sort of like the background core team, and then there's you and I, who obviously we're trying to be accommodating as much as possible as we can within our own dynamic, because you have projects, I have projects, I have family, you have family, there's life, all that kind of stuff, in our external friendships and relationships, and managing through all that to build. And a lot of the time it does take understanding and accommodation, because prime example, like today we had a specific time to record this, and we thought about recording at a specific time, but that had to be delayed. Now we both have to shift up our schedules to do that. That happens to you on times, but it's having a team that's willing to work with each other and understand each other. And I think it's a big thing within a business as well, that trust is that I can come to you and say, hey, actually I gotta change this. Are you okay with that, or does that work for you? And I mean, it may or may not sometimes, but at least it's not a fight. It's like, okay, well, if we can make it work, let's do it. If we can't, then obviously voice it and just be upfront about it. But it's not like there's no hesitation in you coming to me with that, or me coming to you with that, or vice versa, us going to Nav with that, like, hey, this was the original thought, it's changing, or this is the original date of the event. Can you shift or pivot? And, and sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes we got, like, we had to change some events, and or events changed on us, and I was already out of town for those events, and so we had to work around it to make sure that we still provided the coverage and the quality that represents our brand. So, it's a long story, but what I'm trying to say is that, it's building this far within this such a short time frame to have found such an amazing core team to work with, and that is, in line with our goal of let's build and succeed and build the partnerships and the collaborations, and build towards a common goal of success and making this a successful venture and brand. I think that's really what's gotten us even through the year, given all the things that we've faced as we've gone through them.
And I will say that when you're passionate about something, when you're driven about something, it somehow comes together. You find the right people. Like, you've had this, video series style idea for quite some time. And, when we first met and started talking about it, it was for one thing, but somehow it just worked out where you're like, this is what I want to do. And me being me was like, okay, let's do it. And that led into, as podcasting even, you coming into a world which you did not know as much of at that time. Obviously now the whole world knows you. And, me starting to do podcasts and stuff, something that I'm not a host by any shape, way, or form. I know nothing about radio voice or anything like that. I think one of the co-host. That's what I mean. but that's what I'm saying. I'm probably one of the most rawest person you'll ever get on any sort of media platform, and I was so scared and nervous when we started this, and when we started doing events, and I was like, Sauter, this is your thing, take the lead. I you know what I mean? But somehow it just worked. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned is, even if initially it's not your dream, but it becomes part of your dream, and then you see that talent in someone, or you see that vision in someone, and you're like, okay, you know what? I don't understand this to that extent. Like for example, the being in front of the camera, that's really not my thing, right? But I'm like, but what he wants to achieve kind of resonates, and I see that, so I'm gonna come along, and then that just turned into like a roller coaster, if I put it in nicely.
the podcast idea wasn't the original idea, but that transformed into bringing. And I think this is where it sort of gelled it together, because the concept I had was quite narrow and specific, and the podcast was built to have a bit more of a broad spectrum, and which allowed you to bring in the expertise, the network, and the things that you already have in place and in your comfort zone, so you can still do the hosting and the on-air thing and be comfortable with it, but in a segment that you have some experience in, versus being all totally new things, whether it's just the hosting and the show concept that we have that we're working on. So it helps you to gel the two worlds together.
And yeah, this was not the original concept, but I think this has made the original vision of what you had even stronger, because you and I now kind of understand how you and I work separately, and how we work in a team.
Yep.
I think you and I have learned a lot from each other, when it comes to this and just like other things. I mean, that's what I see from all of this. And I'm excited to start the next phase of Elevated Graves. Like, I can't wait. And I think I've shown that excitement with the constant text messages. So did this happen yet? Have you reached out to this person yet? And you're probably like, Rashi, shut up. Not yet.
Yeah, no, of course. And I think for both of us, just seeing where it's transformed and where it's going, it's super exciting, because there's projects that we're working on that we haven't announced, and for various reasons why they're not announced yet. There's partnerships that we're working on that haven't been announced, and again, for various reasons, in which we will. But they're all things that are part of our original plan, and all these other ancillary types of things that we wanted to work on are part of that process and have helped us to get to that process and helped us to meet the people that we're planning on working with. And, they kind of, gave them, like, hey, we have this idea. And their original thought was like, okay, cool. But like, I don't get it. And then they see our podcast and our correspondence work. Yeah. Correspondence work. And, they're like, okay, we get it. Like we get where this can go. The concept on its own may not be, groundbreaking, but the people involved is what's going to make it. And we see that between the group that you guys are working with and the team. And
sometimes it's not about the concept, right? Like, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just doing stuff that we love, I think. And I think that is the groundbreaking part. That is the part that changes stuff, because when you love what you do, no matter what it is, it pays off. It comes together. Everything always works out. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saying lie down and it's gonna all come together, but like,
no, just sit under a tree.
Okay, can you stop making fun of my tree? I like my tree, okay?
I have a magnolia tree in my backyard, and I took a picture of it and sent it to Rashi, and I'm like, there's your tree, go sit.
I know, I was like, oh, yay. And then that day I told you, go sit under the tree. And you made fun of me.
I did. So all in all, like, it's been an exciting ride so far, and I think, we're looking forward to the next steps and the progression of where this is going. We're super happy with our team, so thank you to the team
Nav and Pat
for putting up with us and sort of rolling with our punches and changes and things that are coming along. Thank you for the partnerships that we built and the projects we're working on with them. They've been very kind to see what we bring to the table and give us the opportunity, a young brand and a young group to showcase what we have to bring to the table. So I think that's been really welcome gift to us. And then the projects we're working on that are a bit more long term, I think they're very exciting. There's some really potentially great partnerships in the works, and knock on wood, if things go well, you'll soon be seeing a lot more of us in a lot of different places.
Yeah, and honestly, just thank you, I guess. Like, thank you to everyone who's been listening. People who've been involved with us. It's been such a growth. It's really been a huge journey. And so since I like to have the last word, but before we do that, what are the 3 things you've learned from me in this year?
You sure you want to ask that question?
I have to do this. Yeah, I mean, I'm amazing, so might as well just let you say it.
Okay, so the first thing I've learned that it's obnoxious to self-promote.
By the way, guys, that was a joke. It was just worth seeing his expression because I know what triggers it.
Let me see. So no, there's a couple of good things that you bring to the table. Let me figure them out. Give me a second here.
A couple of good things that you're still figuring that out. Thanks.
So what I've learned from you. So Rashi does a few things that are different than what I'm used to. She's definitely, I made a joke about it, but like, she's definitely a aggressive like pusher when it comes to getting things done. And that's it doesn't sound right, but it's not like it's in a positive manner. Like if she wants something done, she will make sure it happens. And, there's things that I've mentioned in the past where I'm like, hey, like I need, here's what I'm thinking. And she's like, well, I kind of have this contact that may be appropriate for it. And then it's not even that she'll hit up the contact. She, next to our conversation, is okay, I talked to the contact, they're ready to do it. Like, it's not, there's no like hesitation. And I make that joke about self-promoting is obnoxious, but it's not self-promoting. It's knowing when to bring to the forefront your skill set. And so Rashi is very good at making sure that the person's skill set that she's working with, or even herself, it's presented in the right light so that the partnerships you're looking for are open to working with you and giving you the opportunity. So that's opened a lot of doors for me. So definitely that's a big one. Facing your fears, like you said, like you're not a host, and it's not something you've done in the past. It's not something you've ever trained for or you've experienced, and you just you were fearful. I mean, you were scared, but you jumped in and you took advantage of it. So, but again, that goes to the first point, in that you're not fearful of making things happen if you want to make them happen. Those are two two big ones, and you're very good at, and the third one I would say you're very good at keeping on top of things. Like it's like, if there's something that you want to make happen, like it's, and this might be a little bit obnoxious to me at times, but I will get the daily message like, did you get this done? Did you take care of this? Did you get this done? I don't work at Rashi's pace always, and I work at a different pace, and I work differently. But I mean, nonetheless, it's not to say that I wouldn't have done it without that bit of the nudge. But it's also good to have a partner who's very out there to make things happen, and not like sort of sitting and waiting for things to happen. So again, very, very good qualities to have in both a friend and a partner.
Thank you for that. I actually was not expecting that. I was expecting some tree joke, which I was like open for.
You got the joke first.
That's true. I think what you said, is really what people look for in business partnerships, in friendships as well. I've learned the word balance from you, because I have a tendency to go and never stop and let what I believe in take over sometimes. And you have a very, very kind way of pulling me back and saying, you need to take a step back, you need to relook at the situation, and never made someone feel that they're wronged or made them feel bad about it. And I think, when it comes to getting things done, when it comes to taking that step and being like, I want this person to be involved in our project, or I want, this to happen for what we're doing, that sense of encouragement comes in, because you're like, if I fall, I'm going to be caught. And you want that in a business partner, like you want that trust and that faith. And I've learned that from you on how to pace, balance. I've also learned that because you and I work at a different vibe, when to nudge you and when to let you be, because some things I've realized, like you're gonna come. Yes, it's okay. Oh, excuse me, you're branding. Hello, you came back in a full circle, and I was like, I'm just gonna let it be. It's his to figure out. As much as I wanted to like jump across the WhatsApp stream and be like, don't you understand this? This is what it is. I'm like, Rashi, control. You can't do that. He has to learn and just come on his own pace. And I learned that because of you. So, I mean, I still ask you about it, but, I'm not shaking you. So that's
right.
Improvement. Yeah. I've learned that from you. And I think I've learned to see the positive in everything, which you have a knack of doing so. Like, I don't think whether a project has worked out or not, or whether we've taken a direction, or whether it's even my own personal stuff, and if I, share my thoughts with you and I say, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm not thinking, it's never been a shut down slam and a trash talk or a negative, perspective to anything. You'll always find the good and the positive. And sometimes you need that, because like you said, you and I are very, very different people. I do have the tendency to sometimes do the whole web of what if, what's that, and think the worst. That could happen. And you've taught me to sometimes take a step back from that cobweb and just look at the bigger picture and just be like, okay, but what's the good in all of this? Even if this didn't work out, what's the positive in this? And that's a huge thing. Right? So absolutely. I've had people ask me, how come you're so upbeat and so positive about even this and all that's going on? And I'm like, it's the people I hang out with. It's my environment. It's the people I talk to on a daily basis. And then I look at my, my top 5 people, and you've always been on the top 3. So I was like, I talk to people who are always encouraging, and that makes a big difference. So, so I've learned a lot from you, and I've learned to be patient, I should say.
And cheers to continuing the learning process.
Yes, I mean, you'll still get my crazy messages at times, but it just comes with the territory.
And I fully anticipate them and expect them.
Huh?
So I fully anticipate them and expect them.
Oh, absolutely. So thank you for that too.
So again, just thank you to everyone for the support so far, and we hope you continue to support. If there's ways that you think that we can improve or ideas, obviously we'd love to hear them. If you think there's a way for us to collab or work together, we'd love to hear that too. We're always open to different ideas. And here's to
Oh, and sorry. Just one more amazing thing I've learned from you, I have to point out.
Yes.
No. Okay, so sorry. Sara is an amazing writer.
Oh Lord.
Amazing writer. So all those skits of ours that you see, it's all him. It's all his like amazing, creative brain that kicks in, and I'll get a video or I'll get a concept or I'll get an idea, and it's all this dude. So just to recognize, you have to like recognize the amazing things in your partner. The funniness and all of that is all this crazy awesome person. So I just had to like say that out. Okay, sorry. Go on with your thank yous.
Yes, so just thank you to everyone. Thank you to Rashi for that. And here's to another amazing year and beyond. Okay, we're gonna go now. Bye.